So I have taken a bit of a break from O12 to do some Nomad stuff, but I need to get back on to thinking about what I'm going to do to move up to 200 points. Now, I feel like I'm missing some ARO capabilities, so here's my thinking. I'm also looking at some more specialist sense. So, a Fuzzbot, Evo Hacker. Very handy to have an Evo Hacker floating about for the general abilities they bring. Specifically in this case, I'm thinking of a Millicent Copperbot, so I can get burst 2 missiles in ARO. That should be a nice distraction. Plus, there's lots of tough things appearing on the boards, and missiles to the face tend to be a good way of getting rid of them. So there's all those pesky knights in the military orders. I've heard rumours of a Sphinx, and there's other heavy infantry floating about, the Hak Islam, the Asawira, and there was a Bokhtar earlier and all sorts of stuff. So if I take those two, I really wanted the Cyber Ghost to be a proper hacker, but I'm going to be over on SWC at 250 points. So at 250 points, I think I'm going to do it as a killer hacker, and then with the intention it'll probably become a proper hacker when I move up to 300 points. So including a killer hacker, a Millicent, and an Evo hacker leaves me enough points and SWC to upgrade the Epsilon to a proper sniper, which I definitely think I need to do. Which means my army at 250 points will look like
this. So we have the core that we had before, but I've removed the war core, so the Epsilon's now multi-sniper. Still got the Gangbuster, the 2 Varangians, the Psychop, because he's been an awesome little piece for me. Blue Coat, and I've taken the advice that I've seen in the comment a couple of times. He is not going to be my lieutenant, so I can actually use him to go hunting things. The Omega with the HMG, because it should be a good for gunfighter, if it doesn't get punched in the face by a Knigget. I'm going to make the Raven Alpha my lieutenant because I can. I think it's a good idea. I think he's a better option. He can protect himself a bit with that mine layer of ability of his. The Lambda Doctor with Judebot. Then I had the Cyber Ghost into Group 1 to take the place of the War Core, because he's probably going to want some orders to do stuff. And then I have the Fuzzbot and the Millicent because they're not going to need a lot of orders to do what they're going to do. And that gets me to 249 points and spot on my 5 SWC. Yeah, it's got a bit more range. It's a plan.
And just like that, we're back. And everything is assembled and painted. The magic of editing. It's been a couple of weeks since I recorded that first clip. But there we go. We have our Fuzzbot. We have our Millicent Copperbot. And we have our Cyber Ghost, who will, there we go, they've come out quite nicely. They're not going to win any competitions, but they match with everything else in the army, and I'm quite pleased with how they look. So that gets me to 250 points, but before we wrap this up, we know the drill by now. So, Aleph, can you tell me about O12 remotes?
O12 took the decision to replace their outdated remotes to update their logistical support and cyber combat options. For a simple reason of logistic rationalization and ease of maintenance, the remotes that would replace them must belong to the same series as the tactical support remotes. The extent of these changes, getting rid of certain high-tech components that are usually required by the OLAV, which resulted in a cheaper production cost, led to the issuance of a new designation code. Just like the copper bots, their name comes from urban slang for the police, in this case the fuzz, which refers to the police radio static, a word that was chosen due to the electronic warfare and cyber combat devices these remotes pack. Fuzzbots are a common element in any sort for deployment, the inseparable partner of every Bureau Aegis patrol officer.
That's kind of cool. And Aleph, can we know more about the Cyber Ghost? Because this guy looks awesome.
The data sphere is an even vaster and more dangerous place than the human sphere itself, and Bureau Aegis has a responsibility to police it to protect its users and uphold law and order in cyberspace as well. For this, they have a Chwantronic crime division with a large and well-equipped crew. However, most of its members are couch agents who work in their connected pods on routine surveillance and policing operations. This isn't the case with the Chuantronic Intervention Unit. The cyber ghosts are the SWAT team of the cyber police, the guys kicking doors down and assaulting heavily guarded cyber criminal dens. They are the kind who jumps headfirst into virtual environments bristling with black ice and other lethal firewalls. They work equally well in the data sphere and in the field, where they provide cyber support to other sort for tactical units and hunt enemy hackers. They're the ones who are assigned the level 1 missions and the highest risk operations. In their case, the danger is very real, not so much due to the physical hazard on the field and the possibility of being hit by a bullet, but because of the risk of suffering an overload that could result in the destruction of their cubes and their true death. This is why they are called cyber ghosts, not only because of their stealth skills and their ability to ambush you when you least expect them, but because they are potential dead men.
Yeah, that was cool. I like the background for the cyber ghost. That's pretty cool. Right, so I'm at 250 points. I might actually get a win. You never know.
Okay, so last thing I wanted to mention was we'd been talking about what we're going to do for 300 points for the games, what scenarios we're going to play, and we thought we'd ask you guys. What scenarios do you think we should play to wrap this all up? What scenarios should we use to decide who wins this first Tale of Four Pandas? So it's your chance to influence things. If you think that you'd like the Shasvastii faction to win, and you think there's a scenario in the ITS Fat Pack that they would be better at, pick that. If you want me to win with my O12, pick a... Well, then you did do because my dice hate me. But you see what I mean. If there's a faction you want to win and you think there's a scenario they're going to be better at, shout up in the comments down there and do your bit to help your faction win. And with that, I think I'm going to wrap this up. And I'll catch you in the next one.
Hello, and welcome to the next instalment of Ogre's Painting Emporium. This is our 200 to 250 point kind of hobby painting update for the, well, what are we calling it now? Is it for, it's for Panda, for the hobbies of four, and I don't know anyway. But we're going from 200 to 250, so I need to update you on what's going on. First of all, let's do a recap. So last time I was asking about visors, because the visors I weren't really that happy with the ones I've done. So I've been mucking about with it, and I've done all the visors. I've just realised I'm going to pick up a model that hasn't even got a visor, but they do have eyes. So I've done the visors on all these guys, just to make them a bit neater and stand out quite a bit. I'll do a few photos in a sec, and then somebody more qualified than I can fill in some nice photos for you so you can actually see what I'm talking about rather than me just waving some out of focus models in your general direction. I've also done the skin on the two columns just to kind of get them up, so they're all nearly done. I'm wondering about maybe putting all the bases are just basically a bit of dry brushed earth at the moment. I'm wondering about doing a bit of static grass or something on them, whether it be kind of a fairly traditional green or purple, orange, not sure. I'll have a think about that. A couple of them as well, I mentioned that the green wasn't good enough, so I've tarted up some of the older models after my new recipe. Again, I'll chuck a few photos your way. Just realised it's kind of yellowy light over there and whitish light over there. Interesting. Okay, so other things. So basically, I've gone slightly mad and got a couple more models that I'm thinking about adding. So I've got in bits still while I paint it one of the remotes. So I'm going to do this as one of those. Caught it. Hashimoto, Tashimoto, Yamataki, whatever they're called, one of those. And then I've also got a model that I'm going to use to represent Yara Haddad. It's one of the snipers. So much mucking about on the interwebs and Facebook, and somebody said that was probably the best. I quite like it. It does look a bit like the pictures we've got of her so far, with being able to put a purple headdress on. So that's not finished, but I've kind of been playing around with that. It's nearly there. But basically, 200 to 250. So I was quite happy with the 200 point list, to be honest. So what's 50 points? A sunduck butt is 50 points. One model, job done. Now, this isn't finished by any means. Again, this was something I threw paint on a while back, just to kind of give me an idea of what I was going to do. So I've got a few little bits of green on there thrown on just to kind of bring it into everything else. The same as the remote, actually. A few bits of green, but not, just a touch to kind of bring it into the rest. So that's my extra 50. I've heard a lot of people say that the sunduck looks pretty good. That they do viral rifles, which I think is the choice apparently. So then you've got to decide whether you do, one that works in the active, or maybe even the reactive. They're both around the same point. So I don't know whether to sit there with neurocynetics and just surprise somebody with, a burst, is it 3 or 4 viral rifle? Could be interesting. I'm kind of wandering towards the active turn one though, but I'll get painting it and have another look. The other thing I've got on my paint desk, what have I done with it? So I felt a bit guilty when I kind of surprised Void with the old McMurrow, after I'd realised I was collecting assassins. Because I kind of touched it up a little bit, but really I'd already painted it. So I've got one of the new boys. So this is the other thing I need to get painted. So again, I've chucked on a few kind of base colours to get me sort of started. I also green stuffed this area. So on the model, it comes as like a tree stump, but none of my assassins or Hag-Islam have got any trees or anything on them. So I kind of sculpted it into a bit of rock, which I'll kind of dry brush and sort out as we go. What else do we have? Well, yes. So distractions. In no way have I been painting up Summer Laugh for one of our new guys at the local store who we're trying to get in. Claims he's not got time to stick anything together or paint anything. I'm trying to give him a bit of a nudge in the right direction. So we've been doing a bit of this. And a cute little rabbit thing. And then, because you can't buy net rods anywhere, or that I'm aware of, I just made a couple of net rods out of bits of plastic tubing, which will kind of get us by. I don't think I'll be upset with that. So there it is, really. So I've got I've got 2 models to do. I can't even say anyway, never mind. Somebody will pronounce it better for me later. Got to finish that off. Got to finish him off. I think I've got a couple of weeks to do it before we Void and I meet again on the battlefield. So I think that's it for now. I'll see you guys later. I hope you've been enjoying everything so far. It's certainly amused us and kept us busy, and we've been, quite excited by it. I think a few people have commented that they're building along with us, which is always good. Put some pictures on though on Facebook or something and let us see as well, because that'll help us keep going. Okay, right. See you next time. Bye bye. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to A Tale of Four Pandas again. And I'm not entirely sure that Smolder or Spin was up to Ogre's standards, but, you know, I figured I'd give it a go anyway. I'd love to say I've got a ton of stuff to share with you this time around, but once again, real life's a bit of pain. Started a new job, and I have a 10-month-old, so spare time is something I remember having back in, you know, my 20s, many, many years ago when the world was one continent. But I haven't got nothing. I have something to show you. And I'm also, once again, going to be looking for your advice. So, you probably saw the last bat report. And you wouldn't be surprised to know I'm not tremendously happy with the outcome. Obviously, fair play to Ogre. It was a really great game. And I enjoyed it, kind of. But I'm worried. I don't think I'm gelling with Shasvastii. And I kind of knew that coming into this, because obviously when we first started, I said, I'm all about the heavy infantry and brute force and ignorance. And Shasvastii actually require that thing, what's it called? Skill. Yeah, skill. Something I don't have. So, I'm a little bit up in the air on what to do. Looking back on it, I've gone over the footage a couple of times. And many thanks to all the people who have given Ogre lots and lots of advice. Your names have been collected. When the AI takes over, it will be noted. But my dice rolls weren't particularly bad, so I can't blame the dice gods on that one. I'm going to, but I can't really justifiably blame them. But I think where I went wrong with that list was I wasn't Shasvastii enough. And by that I mean I think I had far too much on the board that you could actually see. Now, I'd love to go full in with a completely blank courtesy list, but I don't think that's necessarily, whilst fun, the best way to go. So, moving forward, I think I've got an idea of what I'm going to do for 250 points, and I'll show you that very, very shortly. What I want from you, the viewers, and my Shasvastii sympathisers, of which I have made a note of several of you, and I will actually try and remember to actually name you. So we have Mr. Hendo P. Thank you very much for your advice. We have Coyote BD, I think it is. My apologies. Janav E. And thank you for your advice. And also, I really want to know what the story is behind that name. Steve Cooper and Tim Edwards, I think, and I apologise if I've got those wrong. And also Jam 3000 on Discord. Thank you very much. You are official Shasvastii sympathisers, and your assistance has been noted, and you will be rewarded once the AI takes over. Unfortunately, if I'm in charge, it won't ever happen. But moving forward, I think I'm taking on Storm Shroud's way of looking at things. The next couple of games, so the 250 point is going to be a testing ground. I get to play around with a couple of things and see if I can get more Shasvastii-ness in my approach to the gaming. But I think I'm going for the long game. I think I need to be able to nail the 300 points. So, if I quickly now nip over to my handy-dandy camera with my models, we can see where we got up to. Now, there are two painted, well, technically one fully painted model and one semi-painted model here. So, we have what every single, it's actually harder than it looks when you're filming, I tell you this. Shasvastii player needs the good old Specular Killer. Now, I need to move her back a bit to get her into focus. I'm not tremendously happy with how she came out in the paint scheme. I'm a lot happy with the back than I am the front. That laminar or layered wrapping that she's in was an absolute nightmare to paint. To the point where I actually think she's already dead, because she must be a mummy, because she seems to have been wrapped up in bandages and already embalmed. But, I mean, the rest of the design's quite cool, and I'm quite happy with that. So, there we have it. I'm thinking, in her case, I'm going to run her as, the mine layer profile. Because, you know, dropping her as an impersonator just outside your opponent's deployment zone, and also dropping a mine there. Nice. And very Shasvastii. To her left, we have Ada Swanson, okay? And I think I've decided to go with her specifically
after encountering the very playful puppy that Ogre brought along last time round. Now, alas, there's no equipment in Infinity that's a big red squeaky ball that I can throw and have McMurder chase it off the board. So, instead, I've needed to find a way to get around his total immunity, and I've come up with 2 ways of doing it. One is why she's here, and also why I'm just going to move him into shot. He's here. Agent Dukash. Any Ramsteins fans out there? You'll know the reference. Mainly because these two, A, are packing viral pistols. So McMurder, total immunity, but viral vulnerability. They're both packing viral pistols. Now, if I was taking models because they're packing viral pistols, I'm not entirely sure that's tremendously good way forward. But Ada Swanson also is packing viral mines. And Dukash has ballistic skill +2 damage in his profile. So even though it would be a pistol and a severe range disadvantage, he does have now a strength 14 viral pistol. And that's nasty. And obviously, Ada Swanson, good specialist anyway, but she's got mines, she's got viral mines, and she's got viral pistol. That's what a 10-month-old does to your brain. It completely derails your train of thought. So, I've got the answer to McMurder, I think. But I'm also thinking along the lines of these two at the back here. Now, my original concept with these was to run them as M drones. On the new ITS rules, they get an extra order, they get marksmanship, brilliant. But they're only packing combi rifles. Now, they will have nano screens if I run them as M drones, and if I do run them, I'll put them in the Harris with the Guilo, do my usual trick of pump up the board, plant them all into suppressive fire, and hope that that's going to stall them long enough so that they're going to burn a whole load of orders. I mean, this is Ogre initially and either Claw or Storm, whoever I end up playing. I apologise to that noise in the background if you can hear it. One of my cats is happily trying to get a toy out from underneath the table and is scraping at everything to get there. I've got my own little tiger creature, and I don't mean the 10-month-old. But I did have another thought with them. I also remember the fact that these can be built as Q-drones. And Q-drones, obviously, total reaction bots, and the usual setup is the HMG. But, as they are AVA2, what about plasma-toting Q-drones? That's not a bad way of doing things, because plasma would still solve the McMurder problem. Because Plasda's not a type of ammunition. It's normal ammunition, so it just declares a ARM plus BTS save. So, that could solve that problem as well. There is the other option, and that is I just go full madness and have a carpet full of bouncing tiger creatures running across the table. They're quite cheap, I mean 6-7 points each, but I've got 7 of them in total, 2 from Defiance, the 4 you see here from their own box, and there is another one in the Jaith box I could always use as well. And that would be great fun. But, I mean, they're there as a distraction. They're there to make him worry, which is definitely a viable option and a viable playing skill. But, are they actually going to do anything? Now, that 200-point list you saw the other day, I tried it out in a couple of other beginner-friendly games when I was showing people how to play the game. And the list itself looked good on paper. And I think it's a good all-round list, but it just doesn't seem to deliver on the actual battlefield. I almost feel like, I think the best word for it is fragile. You lose a key piece from a stupid manoeuvre, and let's face it, this is me. I'm going to do stupid things. And all of a sudden it starts coming apart quite quickly. And I'm thinking if I start running the rug or the bouncing tide of tiger creatures and angry Pokemon, I'm not building in redundancy for when that fragility does kick in. But is there a way around the fragility? It is Shasvastii after all. Am I just looking for something that isn't there? Can I build some redundancy into it? Not sure. Obviously, one way of doing it would be a move to the Sphinx. He has been base coated now, and he is ready to go. Just need to put some liquor paint on him. But it's 92 points. I'm not too worried about the SWC. The SWC I'm not particularly strapped for at the minute. But it's 90 odd points. And I really want to tag. But am I going against my initial declaration of I need to be more Shasvastii if I go with that tag? I know it's a TO tag. But, don't know. We also have Eric, number 2, and I'll just move the collapsed high duck out the way. The MSV1 sniper Caliban, definitely an option. Maybe in replace the original Eric with him, or swap out something else. I'd like to get him in there because if all else fails, he's a good gunfighting piece with MSV1 and the Spitfire, and if anything tries to come close to him, he can always eat them and gain some wounds. And I think Eric has been pretty much man of the match in every game I've used him. Not sure though. Again, looking for your help and inspiration. Obviously an Echadron, because, you know, cheap orders, always a good thing to have, and that double flamethrower will be quite tasty if I come up against an impersonator. I'm looking at you, Roberta. And obviously what's just collapsed over here is the High Duke, which I could always run either with a sniper rifle or with a shock marksman rifle. Other options I do have over here, and the reason I'm just showing you these is for the simple reason, I think this is the pool of models, let me just zoom out slightly, that my 300 point list is going to come from. This lot and what you've seen painted up already. So I think that's what I'm going to run. I do have, I mentioned last time around, the Nox SWC box, but I don't think I'm going to go down that route. At least not for this. Do you have the Cadmus? Oops. Nearly didn't have the Cadmus. And I do have Sheshkin as well. I've also got the Mentor with Shock Marksman Rifle. So, options. I have options. But what I don't have is necessarily the nous to use it. So, ladies and gents, this is where it comes to you. I am putting, I won't say my reputation because I don't have one, and it's in shreds even anyway, but my gaming plans in your hands. Where do I go for 300 points? What sneaky Shasvastiness should I use? Any thoughts, please drop them in the comments below. I do need help, both, you know, tactically and probably psychiatrically as well. But remember, mainly, I need help because whilst I now have all the gear, it is very clear I still have no idea how to use it. So, anyway, I'm going to leave it there for this one, ladies and gents. Thank you very much for all your comments and your support so far. And remember, it's not over till it's over. Unless it's me. In which case, I may have already... Yeah, let's just not go there. See you next time. Thank you very much.
My journey to 250 points. And essentially, I'm going to paint this guy up, the Knight of Santiago. He's a killer hacker because one of my Achilles heels has been lots of heavy infantry. It's been hacked. So I need something to dissuade the hackers. So here's my killer hacker. The Knight of Santiago. Not too bad to put together. Not too sure why the helmet had to be in two pieces. But yeah, so only three pieces. So not too bad. Went together a dream. And so I thought while I'm doing it, he's going to be coming along at some point. So I'm painting Mendoza. Building Mendoza. Again, only four pieces. So not too bad at all. This guy's stats are a beast. Well, more on that in a second. So yeah, the building stage is on. The bit I hate, but these two, not too bad at all, to be honest. The new sculpts are much nicer to put together than the old ones. So anybody who's got fear about metal models, it's not too bad nowadays. It's Culver's Belly really have done a good job. Anywho, with that, I'll finish sticking Mendoza together, and I'll get some undercoats and stuff on it. Right, so some time has passed. My desk has become chaotic again. Wow. So I've built and based 3 models. The Knight of Santiago is going to be the killer hacker for my 250 points. Currently I'm working on the actual 250 point list, but we'll see. I'll go through that later anyway once I've decided. I have got another Teutonic Knight. Now that's conversion. Can't quite see it yet, but it was the Auditor Sergeant Specialist, so I've kind of done some alterations to make it look more like a Teutonic Knight, the Specialist one. So hopefully it's painted up nice. And big guy himself, Mendoza. Might as well start putting him together for the 300 points because he's coming. He's definitely coming, and probably he'll be in the 300 points as well. So yeah, that's what I've been doing so far. Yeah, I've been also painting other projects as well. So I've got some quite a few drones painted up, and some scenery done, and some more scenery done, and don't look over there. So I'll pop back in a bit, and we'll see if I can get some paint on some Knight of Santiago for my 250 points. So sometime later. They have been primed and I've base coated them. I've done my usual base coat of basically it's dark grey, light grey, white to give me a nice base coat for my military orders. It's quite nice because it gives me a nice shadow as you go down, and we're a bit picking out. It'll look great. So yeah, just put some colour on it. So I've painted Mendoza, put them together, and because I might as well batch paint when I'm doing that kind of thing. And I've also done my last Teutonic Knight conversion. You can actually see the conversion a little bit better now. It's not brilliant, but you know what, for what I want it's perfect for the Specialist Teutonic Knight rather than the Order Sergeant Specialist that comes in the box. And I've still got the big boy over there to do at some point. So 250. I've kind of, my list is working so far. So essentially, I've kind of just added this guy. Now, let's have a quick look at my proposed army at what I'm taking at the moment. Obviously, if you think there's better solutions, just drop me a line in the comments below. But yeah, let's have a quick look see what I'm doing. This is my army that I'm planning going. There's a couple of things I'm not too sure of, but it might change slightly. But essentially, it's the same as my previous army. So I've got the 3 Croziers that work well together, especially him with the multispectral visor. The Lieutenant Commander with the extra order comes in really handy, especially for feeding this guy. He's got the FTO. Also, Teutonic Knight with NCO, not FTO, with NCO, gives him an extra couple of orders to charge around the battlefield. I'm also taking the second Teutonic Knight because they're just dodging on 17s, and okay, there's stuff out there that I can't see to shoot, but if I run up and nut it, that's great. So those two, those are instant. The Black Fire is such a threat for people out there with a multispectral visor level 2. For 25 points, it's really kind of useful, and because it's the FTO version, I can stick it in with those if necessarily. If you go to fire teams, yeah, look, Black Fire, Knight Commander, Teutonic Knight, Croziers, all, yeah, lovely fire teams I can make up depending on what I'm facing. So I've also got the Trinitarian Forward Observer, because that worked really well. Sending up in hidden deployment, so my opponent's not going to know where he is. Then I've got Mimetism -6. Then it's a specialist in camouflage. It's going to press the buttons. Whatever we roll up, it's going to press the buttons. The Pathfinder bot, because we are playing ITS 14 and they do get the bonuses. So they still got marksmanship, they still get the extra impetuous order. I forget what it is top of my head, but anyway, you know the extra order. Trauma dot, because I kind of think I need a doctor. Okay, ballistic skills not great, and we all know what Pano doctors do, but it's another specialist, and you never know, it might come in handy. The Raven Eye officer, really, it's a nice forward observer for 12 points. It can put mines down, it can sit around in the backfield, it can stop people coming in from behind, drop them mines. For 12 points, it's really good. So yeah, I want to kind of use this guy again, which I've used previously, way back. So the new guy, Knight of Santiago. Now, the reason I'm taking him is because he's a killer hacker. Now, the problem with all these is that they are HIs. Well, these two are HIs, and the big fella, Knight of Santiago, Sebasculti, he's a big guy who we're taking next time. And I think if we scroll down and try and find Mendoza, he's HI as well. So it's to get that toolbox, to get that thing painted up to prevent hackers from really spoiling my day. Because all the other pandas know that I've got HI. They're going to bring hackers to kind of slow me down and be a pain. So I need this killer hacker. It's also a specialist. Martial arts, dodge, immunity, stealth, 0G gets me bonuses on certain battlefields, 360 visor, which is really nice. It's also a specialist. 23 close combat, so if I hide him and they have to come around corners and things like that, I can basically start fighting with big massive swords. I'm not too sure whether I'm going to leave him in group 2. I think I might swap maybe the trauma doc and that one. He really wants to be in group 1, so he's not going to end up like that. But yeah, he's got decharges, timbots. He's ace. So this is my proposed army for 250 points. Again, if you think there's anything better or what I should be doing, pop it in the comments below, let me know, and hopefully I can have another good training game with these. So far I'm really enjoying these guys. So I've only really got one to paint this time, which is nice. So the Knight of Santiago needs to get some paint on it. These two are probably going to come in at 300 points, and he might come in at 300 points. So I've got some more painting to do for the 300 point matches that we've got coming up. But yeah, let's paint this killer hacker. I do like killer hackers. They're generally cheap and they are specialists and they kill hackers. Yeah, we don't like space wizards. Right. While I get on with him, Aleph, tell me about Knights of Santiago.
The trading routes taken by the circulars are also used by many Pan-Oceanian citizens on their pilgrimages to the sacred places of the earth and Neodera. The Order of Santiago, with the blessing of Pan-Oceania and O12, has taken on the task of providing assistance and protection to the pilgrims and circulars using these routes. The Knights of Santiago are part of the officer corps of the Pan-Oceanian Navy and are normally assigned to frontline ships. The members of the order are amongst the best prepared and most specialized in the human sphere. The operational objectives of their boarding units is to assault and secure hostile vessels, both in deep space and planetary orbit, meaning they are always first in the line of fire. The Knights of Santiago have to break through enemy defenses by locking on to assault vectors that take advantage of the briefest openings in an enemy ship's defenses. Knocked around in the acceleration chambers of their boarding capsules, they have to fight against the overwhelming fatigue caused by hours of high-speed maneuvering. Once the enemy vessel's hull has been breached, they have to fight from compartment to compartment, from locker to locker, until each section is cleared. While near suicidal, this is considered the fastest and most effective way of naval boarding and is favored by the order. The knights know that their patron, the Apostle Santiago, favors and rewards the most hazardous ventures, and these dangerous actions see faith accompanied by indomitable courage.
So we are well on the way to painting this guy. Should be done before the end Well, it will be done before the 250-point game, obviously. But yeah, the colours, they're coming out well. The white and silver colour scheme's coming out well. The Santiago badge on his shoulders looks nice. Yeah, I think he's going to look pretty cool. And there we have it. Thank you for sticking with us for this long. I did get the Knight of Santiago finished. Here's a picture. Yeah, looks pretty good, doesn't he? So that's 250 points. Let's see how we get on with the missions. And like Stormshroud said, if you want to get involved, let us know what missions you want us to play at the £300 tournament. 300 point tournament, not pounds. Point. Yeah, something with heavy armour. Yes, armoury, things like that. So I can sit there and just take a bashing. Comments below, let us know what missions you'd like to play. Get involved and help everybody out, because yeah, we all need a little bit of help. Thanks for watching, and join us in the next one.
Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please give us a like, and if you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. It all helps to keep us motivated and raises the profile of our channel and Infinity the game, bringing it to a wider audience. And don't forget, if you're so inclined, you can also find us on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you.